Well, I was starting to film this, and then the postman came with a couple of packages from the UK, just showing the customs stickers. And I'm going to blame Amy and Zoe Bett for this. I got from We Buy Books, I think, is their trading name, in Lancashire. Simon Green's The Dark Side of the Road. Now, this book I've already tried to order from a US supplier. It's extremely expensive to buy these, and they're only small books new in Ireland at the moment. Other Simon Green books are fine, but this series, which is the Ishmael series, which is a series of haunted house mysteries, is extremely expensive. So I did try to order it from a supplier in the US, and it came within its normal 2 or 3 weeks, but it was the 4th book in the series, not the first one. So I did manage to get hold of this, so I hope it's good, Amy. And then, because it's hard to get them, so I got the second one, and this one came in from Blackwell's, and so this is a new copy, but it was cheap, so I don't know how it's new as well. And they have their lovely Blackwell's is a shop in England, so it came from the Oxford, which I think is their head office. I've been to the one in London. So it came in from them at the same time as it happened. Okay, so my name's Maria. Welcome to my channel, MH Books. And today we're going to do Friday Reads, filmed on a Friday, uploaded whenever upload speeds will allow me. And we're going to start off with the book I started off with last week, Plain Bad Heroines by Emily M. Danforth. Plain Bad Heroines is a society that likes to read I Wait the Devil's Coming, a book by Mary MacLean. It's her biography, and she waits the devil's coming because it's early 20th century and she is a lesbian. So she's writing about things. This book is about a boarding school of quite a few girls who are very into Mary MacLean's books. So there's an awful lot of female love. And it starts off with, as I said last week, with the death of 2 of the girls in the woods by, I keep forgetting the name, Yellow Jackets. I should really remember the name. This Yellow Jackets are throughout the book. The book is very visual, and it should definitely be a movie because there's an awful lot of scenes of people kissing and things like that with yellow jackets flying around them. So it should definitely happen. But as a result of this death, this mysterious death, one of the girls has been chased into the woods by her male cousin because he doesn't approve of the female-female relationship. I'm not sure that do they ever really understand what the female relationship is, or whether he ever does, but the girls do. So after this death, they're found with this book. And then a couple more mysterious deaths happen in Brooke Hunt's School for Girls, and people are holding the same copy of the same book. Now the book that they have is just red. This is a modern edition that has their face on it, so their book is just red. So that's the premise of the background story. So we have the timeline of Brooke Hunt's in early 20th century. Then we also have a modern town that happened at the same time. We have, I have my scribbly notes as per usual. There you go, spoiler much. And Merritt Emmons has written a book about, when she was 16, wrote a book about the Brooke Hunt's deaths and the mystery around them, and the love of Flo and Clara, which are the 2 girls who die at the beginning. And a movie is now being made based on this book. We have 2 actresses to play Flo and Cara, the 2 girls who originally die. One is Audrey, who was a child actress, but it's not particularly liked anymore. She's not a particularly good actress, or considered to be a particularly good actress, but the production team think she might be. And Harper, which is actually her real name with two names, two first names or two last names, whichever way you want to put it, who is a much more famous actress. She's the money maker, the name, and she's also a big person on Instagram and followed a lot by the paparazzi, which is important. So in the modern one, we're making a movie about a haunting, and we're going to make it in the place of the haunting itself. So strange things happen, but we have to remember it's also a movie, and it needs about a horror movie, and it's all horror movies may do better if there's hauntings on set. So there is is this real or is it not real vibe. So meanwhile, we have that timeline going, and we have the past timeline where they talk about Libby and Alex. Libby is the principal, and Alex Trills, I love her last name, is her love interest, her partner, her companion. They don't use the words, but in modern terminology, it'd be her wife. And we hear about their timeline and the mysterious deaths that continue to happen after Flo and Clara die, and what happens. So these two timelines, okay, so the people out there like one or other of them. I enjoyed both of them. I think I preferred the current one, but the problem that some people have with this book is the two timelines do not tie in nicely together at the end of the book. Don't expect it. And one timeline is far more important than the other as to what the whole idea of the story is, what the answer is to the mystery. There are a lot of red herrings. So what you think the book is about may not be what it's about. So if you go to the end and you don't like the conclusion, don't blame me. I loved it, but some people will hate it. Okay. Oh yeah, and as I said to people before, please, if you want to, the narrator of this is omnipresent and it's very snarky and funny. So if you do a flick through the first chapter or so and check whether you like her style as well, because I thought it was hilarious. But maybe some people don't. Okay. Pick and mix, anyone? That's because this book is gonna be very sweet. And it was the thing I would have eaten if we could get into the cinema. And you could actually get pick and mix. You can't get pick and mix. This is just fizzy sweets mixed in packets, mixed into a bowl. If you could get pick and mix, because we're not allowed to because of the shovels being communal at the moment. I wonder, will we ever be allowed to again? Oh, maybe you can pre-package pick and mix, but it's not the same if you don't get to pick it and mix it. The Flat Chair. Beth O'Leary is not a typical Maria book. It's a rom-com. It came in a book box subscription. I had ticked no chicklet, please. I got this one, and I assumed that the author was Irish, but I think she's actually English. So, because I had ticked yes to Irish, so that's happened with one of the other books. Could be considered chicklet, but was also an Irish author, so that was fine. But I don't know how I got this one, but I did, and I did rather enjoy it when I got to it in the end. The Flat Chair is, or Beth O'Leary has another book out at the moment. She actually has two more since this was her first one, and every app in the world is trying to sell it to me, so I guess I was meant to read at least one of her books. So I read the book I owned. The Flat Chair is a rom-com, so you know what the conclusion is going to be. Tiffany rents a flat from Leon in central London. The price is rather good. It's only £350 a month. So what's the condition? The condition is she can only rent it in the evenings to the morning, and because he is going to occupy the bed, the only bed in the apartment, from the morning to the evening. The two of them will never meet. That they will share one side of the bed each. So I think that's supposed to be Tiffany. So I think Tiffany was supposed to be on the left and he was supposed to be on the right. That's actually not quite what the bed is described as in the book, but anyway, it's a visual representation. So they sleep on one side of the bed, and they communicate to each other. So they don't meet, so they communicate to each other with post-it notes around the apartment, and it's about the power of notes and letters, and actually the written power of communication, and how they actually start to get on very well with each other, even though they haven't met. And they do try to meet, obviously, in the end. This is a rom-com. They're going to try. They're going to have the usual hurdles. It is sweet. It is sweet the way that they both knew what was happening to each other. Beth O'Leary actually, because I listened to the audiobook of this as well, had an interview at the end of it. And she wrote it based upon what was happening between her and her husband or her partner. He was working as a junior doctor at night time, and she was working during the day. So they weren't actually meeting for a long time. They just would find, like, you know, gym gear moved in their apartment. And then, oh, the other one went to the gym, and, you know, somebody had time to have their coffee that morning or didn't have time to have their coffee that morning because they'd obviously run out of time. So they worked out what was happening in each other's lives from things that they saw in their own flat, but not by actually talking to each other. So it's based on this premise. It is sweet. It is well written for what it is. It's funny at all times. It's very light. It's like a pick and mix. There is supposedly some trauma in it. Tiffy has a bad past relationship she's trying to get over. And Leon has a brother who's in jail for something he didn't do. But it's a rom-com and it's going to have a good ending because they always do. And if you're in the mood for something like that, it's great. I probably will, though, be getting rid of this book now because it's not something I'd read a second time. I'll probably be sorry. And third book is Breasts and Eggs by Mieko Kawakami. I am deliberately not going to say the protagonists' names because I'm just going to screw it up. So we have two novels in this book. One's a novella, which was the original Breasts and Eggs novella, and then a second book that was written later, which is much longer, and they've been put together and called book 1 and book 2 in the same novel. They're a little bit different in style. The first one is set 10 years ago. Well, no, it's 2006. I think the next one is 2016. They're 10 years apart. So 2006, well, 15 years ago. And our main protagonist's sister and her niece are going to stay with her. Her niece is 12 and not talking to her mum because she's upset about something, so she will only correspond in notebooks. And that's really lovely in this story, is because when the others are talking and when our main protagonist is thinking, it's interspersed by what's actually happening in her niece's head, who's writing in a notebook. And her niece is 12 and she's obsessed with getting periods and where the egg goes and all that factual information. The protagonist's sister wants new breasts, therefore the title Breasts and Eggs. The protagonist is worried about her sister because she's overly thin and she doesn't quite understand what her obsession is with breasts. So this first novella is very much centered around female bodies and what it is to be female, but also mother and daughter relationships. We go back in time and we see the protagonist and her sister's relationship with their parents, and and that the father is basically an absent figure, and the relationship that they have with their grandmother. So it's a lot of family relationships and female body parts, which is the themes that are going to be extended into the second book. There is a beautiful scene where the protagonist is in the Bath's house, and she's in the female part, and a woman, and what the protagonist assumes is a trans man, but we don't know. And we never see body parts, so she never sees the body parts, she doesn't know. And she imagines, she gets really cross because this is, a trans man may be genetically female, but shouldn't be in the female section, because he's a man. So she imagines what she's going to say to him. And an awful lot of this, it's a really vivid scene, a lot of this book is what goes on in our protagonist's head and what she thinks and dreams of. She dreams an awful lot about her grandmother coming back and what her grandmother would say about things. So we spend a lot of time introspectively with the protagonist. Then, hey babes. You don't think that we should spend time with the protagonist? Okay. Right. Okay. And then the second book, hold on. Then the second book is 10 years later, about 2016. Our main protagonist has grown up a bit. She still lives alone in Tokyo. I should have said the first part was set in Tokyo. And she is now a published author. And she's coming to terms with what she thinks about motherhood. Now, this bit is a little bit weak in that it should have been edited harshly. It's too long. But she does think about sperm donation, which is not possible for single women in Japan in 2016. I have experienced a sperm donation, and it was possible in Ireland a couple of years beforehand, but for single people, but not publicised. So you had to know who to go to, which clinics to go to. And I just thought it was funny that the clinics in Ireland that I worked with sourced the sperm from the same sperm bank in Denmark. So this is well researched, it's true. For that bit, I know that bit is true. But she goes back and forth. She meets people who are children of sperm donation, and she goes back and forth as to why she should and why she shouldn't. I just think that bit was a little bit overly done. There are arguments for and arguments against, and she kept repeating herself a little bit there, that she needed to cut that section. I do think that section needs a bit of a trim. But it's all coming through to a conclusion in chapter 15 or 16 in this book now. And which could have gone a way that if this had been one of these books, we know where it would have gone. Just saying. If it had been a rom-com, we would have known. It's going to go in its own interesting, unique way. And I do love the way that Haruki, is this just so I don't trash too many names, that's why I'm not naming the protagonist, winds it up. But the interesting section there too was when she considers sperm donation, women have radically different objections and feelings to it. So she's going to get some very both side objections, and her sister and her niece and friends that you're introduced to at the beginning are all going to have very radically different reactions when she tells them that she's interested in doing this, which is interesting stuff. So we have an awful lot more female relationships and an examination of being a mother. So that's hopefully not too spoilery, my thoughts on breasts and eggs. So I'm not sure what I'm going to read this week, but I really need to read the Halleck Prize books. I expect expect my book from Rare Birds to be in. They send them out on the 1st, so today's the 7th. They should be in next week because it's coming from the UK. These came in exactly a week, so it takes about a week. And I don't know what that one is, so I can't tell you about it. And other than that, I just hope that whatever you're reading, that you're enjoying it. And that until next time.